mentioned the messaging Wednesday night after the game, Frank. Anything on that end need to be refined or reinforced here on Friday?
Give me that again. I didn't hear the first part.
We asked you about your messaging to your club after losing the game Wednesday. Anything you would like to add to that point or clarify? Just because it's been a couple of days, and I imagine the feelings are pretty much the same way, that things look the way they look right now, but that doesn't change the mission from your teams or from your perspective at this point.
Right. We set out to win every game, and obviously, as you go through the season, your goals are met or they're not met at a certain point in time. We're still in the race, but obviously you need a ton of help, and we have to finish it off. But putting that aside, we set out to win every football game, and so that's the mission that we are on when we take on a season, and so we've got 3 left, and that's what we want to get done, and that's what we'll aim all our energy towards.
You do have some positive reinforcement or evidence. I mean, you guys have been in this situation each of the last 2 years and found ways to finish off these games the right way. Is that encouraging or just kind of backs up what you're talking about?
I think it's what we are. We'll set out to play our very best football. The game as we look at it in the past here, the other night's game, was a game that we certainly had our chances, and there were a lot of things that we did well. We put ourselves in position to win that football game on several different occasions, but right at the end we did not get that done. 4 big plays. One was obviously the 53-yard field goal was huge at the end. What was it? A 45-yard run. The post pattern. A 30-yard punt return. Other than that, we feel pretty good about what we got accomplished in the game. But you don't take those 4 plays away. They're part of the game. So we got to find a way to make sure that those kind of things don't happen to us. And the same things kind of have been holding up as far as negatives for us. Not winning the turnover battle, that was huge. Anytime you have a big ball game and you lose the turnover battle by 2, you're fighting an uphill battle. So obviously that was something that we didn't set out to do, and had to overcome it. Didn't quite get that done.
There's a notion in sports of being clutch, coming up in big moments. How much of that is tied to the relative team experience? It's been a situation with your team this year. Fourth quarters, big plays need to be made, and they've kind of not been there. How much of that is attributable to just the way the game is, to your club's overall experience level, to not finding a way to make those 2, 3, 4 big plays that have been so big in so many of your games this year?
Yeah, I don't know that comes back to any one particular thing. There were a few games that we made those plays to win close ones. It's been a year of close football games, period, regardless whether you're talking about wins or losses. And coming through at the end is something that you need to do if you're going to have a great record, if you're going to have a great team that's accomplishing what it wants to accomplish. We haven't put ourselves in that position at the end of the game to we've been in position to get it done, but we haven't gotten it done enough times, and that is troublesome. Some of it comes down to all of what you're saying. It's a little bit of experience at times, although when you get 8, 9 games into the season, you stop talking about experience. You're what you are, and so we'll point out what we've not been doing again well in this last ball game, and go out to correct that and improve on it and give ourselves our best chance of winning the final 3 games.
Did want to ask you about Western Michigan. They're running the ball as effectively as really any team in the league has over the last 10 years or so. How much of that is them in general on offense, whether it's their blocking tight end or the offensive line, and how much of it is Bellamy and his development?
I think it's all of that. You know, and they got a pretty good all-around football team in terms of rushing the football, throwing the football, but obviously they relied a little bit more on the rushing game because they've got a really good offensive line and they got a really talented running back. So when you have that combination, you know, you have a tendency to run the ball a little more, and that's what they do. That's what they are, and not that they can't throw. You know, they've got good receivers. They've got an experienced quarterback, and so their capabilities on offense are good. You know, they're averaging, you know, well into the 30s, maybe 35 something, and points a game, and so obviously that tells you that they're capable of putting points on the board and finding ways of doing it, and the way they generally do it is really wearing people down and running it really well at them for 4 quarters.
You guys did a good job on Bellamy last year. It's going to be hard to duplicate that effort again, I reckon. Is he a step faster? Is it just a guy maturing with another year of experience? He's got 20 rushing touchdowns for crying out loud.
Yeah. Well, he's got the skill that a great running back needs to have. I mean, he's got tremendous quickness, explosiveness, able to make people miss, and then he's got the speed to, after making people miss, to not get run down. And when you have that combination of things, generally you're going to put points on the board. He's had a great year, and you know, that's obviously clarified by what he has done statistically.
Coach, you haven't had 3 home losses in a season since 2008. How painful has it been to not be able to capitalize on home games this year like you've normally been able to in the past?
Well, if we had the answer to that, we'd have used it last night. You know, it's all a combination of things, and you know, sometimes you just gotta you gotta play your best and make sure that all 3 units are doing that, and if you do that, you give yourself your best chance of winning, and you're gonna win your fair share of games, whether they're on the road or at home. You know, it's just not a deal where anybody wins automatically on the road. You still got to line up. You still got to play your best football. You know, the crowd was an advantage for us. It was a great crowd, tremendous support from the students and people in the community and all around that came to the game, including former players. And so, you know, that was there. That setting was there, you know. And if you look at the statistics, we've done an awful lot of things the right way. I don't know if I've ever been associated with a game where we've had 79 plays?
73 to 47.
Yeah, 47 was what they had. I mean, you know, they had 14 first downs. You know, you look at the yardage, you know, a lot of that develops from good play, but you still got to play every play, and you can't let explosive plays and turnovers enter into the game against you, and that's what happened. You know, they had a few explosive plays, they got in turnovers, and they took advantage of them. It seemed like we were always fighting from behind, you know, and that gets old. But to the credit of our guys, I thought they did exactly do that, and then we found ourselves in such a long yardage situation at the end there that it, you know, came to be very, very difficult to overcome that.
I know you haven't been around the team, or it's been 2 days removed since the game, but is the morale of everybody where you want it to be right now after a game like Wednesday?
I think it will be. You know, this has been a team that's come out every day to practice, worked hard. This past week was a special week. Obviously, they knew the importance of this game. The fact that you know, we didn't get it done is a setback, but you know, you know, what lies ahead is important to us, and so we'll work very hard at coming back.
What lies ahead is Western Michigan in 5 days. You've been around doing the midweek games and the short time in preparation. Has that gotten easier throughout your career here, or is it still just as difficult to prepare with such short time?
Yeah, when you have a short week, it's never easy. I mean, you do some things to help yourself out, but obviously, it's not what you look for. It's not what you want. You never want to have a team have any extra days of advantage on you. But in saying that, you just got to rise to the occasion, and we've been through it before. It's difficult. Some things are built in that are playing midweek games are difficult, and and you just need to adjust to them. Your players got to understand what they need to go through to get it done, and then you go to work.
Is there a bit more intensity maybe to the preparation just because of the short time?
Well, I don't know that we can be any more intense than what we have been. I mean, our staff has worked long hours, worked hard. Our players have worked long hours and worked hard. But I will say that I think they've been fresh. They've been energized and ready to go for every game. They had a ton of energy this past game, and I think that really showed on the opening drive. But energy alone doesn't get it done. There's a combination of things that needs to happen for you to win football games, and so we'll do our best to make sure we have the majority of what we need to go into this game and get a win.
Western Michigan leads the conference in sacks. They got the second best scoring defense. I mean, what stands out about them, and what are some of the weapons that they have?
Yeah, well, they're experienced and they're good across the board defensively. I mean, their sacks are coming off of just beating people one-on-one to some degree, but they do a lot of blitzing. They do a lot of movement, and if you're not ready for that, obviously you're going to get caught. And even if you're ready for it, they're going to apply pressure. That's the name of the game for them. And so, you look at their sacks, you look at their tackles for loss. It comes from having a combination of good players and good schemes, and I think that's what they've got.
Frank, you talked about after the game on Wednesday just how the first drive was frustrating, and Jason kind of touched on making the big plays necessary late in the game. You look at 4 of the past 5 have been decided by 1 possession. You look at this season, has that been like the most frustrating aspect, is just not being able to make the timely plays, or as you talked about in a game where you guys had 26 more plays, you had 100 more total yards of offense. Has it just been kind of like bizarre in that aspect?
It's been one of the more different seasons that I've been associated with. Every game being a close game. The things that have transpired have been in some cases a little unusual. It's frustrating. It's been frustrating for our players as well as our coaches. But you need to handle that in this business. Very few teams go undefeated throughout the course of a season, so you got to handle defeat at some point in time in most cases. And even if you don't get it this year, you're going to get it maybe next year. And so you just got to learn how to bounce back and learn how to handle it. And that's a good thing about college football and sports in general. You can't just take a defeat and let it cave you in. You've got to bounce back. But in saying that, this has been a different season for us in terms of just having things go in a manner that has not been customary for us, and so that's a little different.
We've asked you all year about turnovers, and I can't imagine what your coaches' meetings might be like at this point in the year, because that's always been a standard, a thing you guys have done well. You guys reinforce in practice every week, and it just hasn't happened. I don't. How would just gut level, how does that feel knowing that that's been such a crucial part and it hasn't been there?
It's one of the most frustrating things for me this season, and I know for our coaches and team. You know, we identify that every week, not, you know, in terms of the importance of it. Our players know how important it is. You know, turnovers maybe is the one statistic that gives you your best chance if you or need a winning edge in something. You know, you'd take it in turnovers, and not to have that, except for maybe one game this year where we've had that advantage. Does say something about our team in order to be in the games at the end and have the chances that they have had, and even have won a few games when we haven't won the turnover battle. You know, and so it's you know, that's in the past right now. The only thing we can do is look ahead, take care of the ball, and you know, maybe you know, we need some pressure. We need people smacking the ball with shoulder pad, helmet, hand. You know, contact on the ball is what brings it out. We need to win some of those 50-50 downfield throws with an interception. You know, so we know what goes into causing turnovers. It's just we haven't had our fair share of them yet, and maybe they're all going to come here in the stretch.
Have you or Coach Alvin talked to Sean yet after he was kept out of the game on Wednesday?
Yeah, I know Coach Alvin talks to his running backs consistently, and he grades them, and they've got their grades, and you know, they go over what was good, what was not so good. You know, it's frustrating to him as much as anybody. You know, he was down, but you know, we just got to take care of it. You know, and our running backs know that's one of the more important things that they've got to do. But again, that one's over. It's gone. I'm not going to beat them up. You know, I'm not going to run them out of town. You know, we're gonna move forward, and I know no one will work harder on getting that corrected than he will.
Coach, I'm sure our listeners will be running a high again on Tuesday for these seniors. It's senior night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll talk about this again after the game. But what does this senior class mean to you?
Well, you know, every time the senior game comes up, and you get reminded of your seniors, and you start to look at what they've contributed, and you know, it's so meaningful to have your seniors recognized, because they've gone through a lot in the time that they've been here or in any program. I mean, you add up the hours that they put into this sport, and the demands of this sport, and then how they work to represent the university at the highest level that they can. Love what these guys have done and what they've been about. You know, there's some really truly special, not just players, but I mean human beings, and how they go about things, and students and scholar athletes and guys that are going to be really successful out there. You know, and you feel good about being able to release those kind of guys out into the real world, but yet you know you're going to miss them.
Do you have any kind of update on Bryce Houston or Adam Lerman? Looked like both had serious knee injuries the other night.
I think Adam has a chance to come back. Bryce will know more here very shortly.
Big ball game in Alabama this week, and the reason I bring that up to you is because it features a quarterback that you saw play like 8 to 10 years ago. I remember seeing you up in the Plains watching high school games. I know you get locked into your own season, but given the family connections there, have you, I don't know, secondhand kind of followed his year and what that's been about? And
Oh, yeah.
do you have any
Yeah.
thoughts about him? And
I think all of our coaches have followed his career, both at Ohio State and at LSU. He's had a tremendous career, you know, and it was not a surprise, you know, to us, and certainly not to me in terms of the type of player that he's become and what he's gotten accomplished. Tremendous skilled athlete, got the size, got the strength, very, very smart, and got a strong arm, and so and tremendous worker. You put that combination together, and you got yourself, you know, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and that's already been shown, you know. And I know these games are important for him and his team as they're coming down the stretch. You know, I'm going to presume that he's going to play at the top of his game just like he basically has all season.
Do you ever wonder what if, or is it weird to think that, you know, 10 years ago this was a skinny kid working out in your weight room, and now he's, you know, a front runner for the Heisman?
Yeah. Well, as he matured and continued to grow up, and you continue to see him perform, it did not, you know, become a surprise. You know, he had a lot of those gifts early on, and he just kept developing them. You know, and very much a team-oriented kind of guy. So he would have fit in any system. He would have played anywhere. Would we have loved to have had him play here? Certainly. You know, but we do also have what we consider a great quarterback who has been so important to this program and moving it forward.